Okay. Alright everybody, I'm just setting up the stream, doing a few more things before I share it out, and then we will get started in just a second. Alright. Share this here. And in the Discord. Hey, Lucky Green, how are you doing? All right. The stream is now all shared out and should be ready to get started. Let me know if you guys can see everything and hear everything. I'm still relatively new to live streaming. You should be able to see my Unity window as well as the camera. And let me know if the audio is too loud. I have it turned down just a tad on the microphone. All right. Yeah, there is a little bit of a delay. Okay, let's see where we are. Yeah, so I decided that I would start trying to do a few live game dev streams. I started to do this a little while back, 1 or 2 test streams. I did 1 or 2 on Twitch probably a year or 2 back, and now I'm doing most everything on YouTube. And yeah, so I just decided that I would give it a shot today, do 1 episode as I'm cleaning up the letter here, because this is mostly just super busy work, and you know, we have a lot of fans of the channel that are really excited to see some of the cleanup and how the letter is going. So I figured might as well give them a deep dive inside look at the original project. And I can go ahead and tell you that the original project is an absolute mess. You know how much I've grown since 2014 when I opened this back up. If you guys can see this here, there's nothing secret in here. I switched this back to the PC version. There's no PS4 scripts or codes or images that you guys could see that are covered under NDA. So this is all PC stuff. So you're going to see the PC version, and you can see the editor, but it'll give you guys surprise looks behind the scenes of what the outside boundaries look like for some of these scenes, what some of the new stuff I'm doing now looks like. You can see this is like just a complete utter mess. I started to reorganize the folders. I mean, I'm super organized now in my new projects, but there's nothing breaking anything down here. It's all, just every item is just all randomly in the list, and not everything is organized in correct folders. And these old assets like this Wii U stuff, I mean, this just looks so bad. It's sickening a little bit. Yeah, so I'm going to be cleaning this up. I'm going to be going through and showing some of my organizational process on how to make this a little bit better and how I'm making this look retro. And I'm going to be deleting stuff, that just is absolutely hideous. Like if you look here, Danny's Hole in the Wall, I thought that was like a good name back in the day for, basically this was supposed to be a pawn shop. And you can tell there's just a door here, and it's basically just a square brick building with cinder block sides. A lot of this, structure modeling is going to stay the same because it's going to look fine HD or whatever. But, like I am going to redo some of the stuff that's just so bad like that. But yeah, so I'm doing well today. Hope you're doing also. I can see everything perfectly in the mic. It's great. Awesome. Thanks for letting me know, Lucky Green. I really appreciate it. So yeah, I think I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of the town today as I'm working on it. This was the, I don't know what this is, like the 4th level maybe in the letter. But I will show you a little bit of what the 2nd level looks like, the one that's already been touched on. As you can see, I haven't really done anything. This is kind of like what the original game looked like on the Wii U in 2014. I was pretty proud of this back in the day. I thought like, wow, I built this big building and had all these cutout windows and a door and all this stuff and stairs, and I was like, at this point, the modeling feat for me was pretty high. I was like, whoa, I'm doing it now. I'm a game dev. You can see some of this stuff I have already pixelated this brick texture, so it's definitely old school. It looks like really weird when it's like running in high definition, but if you run the game, it actually runs, let me grab my controller, it runs in a lower resolution. See how like everything has the jagged edges and all that, the no anti-aliasing. So when you actually get over there to look at the building, that pixel texture is going to look a whole lot better. It actually looks like an old PS1 game would look. So basically we're going to be doing that to all of these textures and models. So you can see like everything already looks pixely basically just by down-resing the game. And for game developers who are interested in how I'm doing this, joining in on the stream, I'm actually doing it using a render texture. And basically what I'm doing is taking everything the camera sees and then rendering it to a texture at a lower resolution and then spreading that texture out across an HD screen to give you that anti-aliasing retro look. But that's not all. I mean, that is a 5-minute process, and you can basically get all of that going really quickly, but it's still not going to fix the fact that like, look how high definition these little grass pieces are, or like how smooth that circle is because there's like a bunch of edges, or like let's find another example. I changed these a little bit, how tight some of the models are, because it's like basically they were newer models in 2014. I was trying to make something that looked HD, but the problem is like my skills at the time were pretty limited. So some of these things look too high poly to be in a PS1 game, and some of them look about right, and just because I was not very good at modeling back in the day. So basically what I'm doing is I'm going back into the models like this, ones that are like high poly, rounded edges, could fit better into a HD game as long as the textures were a little bit better. I'm going back into those, editing them in the modeling engine, taking out polygons to make them look more low poly, and that's just in order, that's just an extra step. So basically what I'm doing is like I'm down resing the entire game, and then on top of that I'm down resing the textures one by one because they're all different sizes. So I'm having to choose a different size between like 64 by 64 and like 256 by 256, which are like, you know, texture sizes you would have seen on PS1 and old computer games back in the day. So I'm having to down res those, and then I'm also going in by hand and taking out polygons from models that are too high poly. Like we'll definitely take out this, you know, like, you know, that's way too rounded. This supposedly rusty gas pump, that's what this was supposed to be. That's going to be downgraded. You can see like stuff like this. It's super easy. So also I'm cleaning up stuff, and basically I'll show you and talk to you about the process of making some of this better. Like as you can see, this is a plane here that says danger flammable gas, but it's not even marked as static, which is absolutely terrible for performance. If it doesn't move in your game developer, you need to be marking your stuff as static, so you can static batch in the render. Also, stuff like this, my import settings were messed up back in the day, and I would import animations because it's like it used to be like hidden a few steps over, and if you import the animation, even if there is no animation, it puts an animator controller on it, and there's literally no reason to have that there, and it kind of hinders performance because, you know, the game engine is tracking how many components are added. So I'm doing cleanup, like I'm deleting unused components, I'm making things static, and then like I'll go in here and then we'll open this up, and then I'll go, all right, you know, that's a huge, you know, huge image, and what we need to do is we need to shrink this down to maybe like 256. Okay, and then if you look over here, you know, sure, that down reses it, but it doesn't look too good, it just looks worse. So you also need to go in here, and then you got to change your filter modes, and then you can see instantly when I go to point, there is no filtering of the texture trying to make it smoother, so then you get that pixel look. I think that's still too readable for a PS1 game, so let's try 128, and that looks a lot better. So we can go take a look at that, what that looks like in the actual game, and I'll read a couple of the comments here. I'm so excited, been a fan of y'all for so long. Remember playing Journey Special Hours Bloom with my brother on Wii U. Happy to be here and see how things are done. Oh, so you're gonna make it look HD but at the same time look like a cool PS1 game. Yeah, so if you didn't know, this version of the game, I am remaking the Letter Classic Edition, and basically this is for the PS4 and probably the computer. And the reason I'm doing all of this is because I announced a little while back on the channel. So if you'd seen, there's a new complete remake from the ground up, all new assets, all new models, completely HD version of the Letter coming for our fans basically. And we've grown a lot of fans on the PlayStation 4. And a lot of those people have never even played the game on the Wii U. So like seeing an awesome new game isn't going to be as impactful for them as it would be, you know, if they had played the original, which was pretty much not a good game. So what I thought about doing is like remaking the original and leaving it the original game, so they can see where the game came from. But I didn't want it to be really bad still. I wanted to improve it at least a little bit. So in order to not redo all the graphics twice, you know, I'm basically making the original into a PS1 game because my models would fit better into the down-res style for a PS1. So yeah, that's basically how it's going to look. And if you look up there, you can basically tell that's kind of how it would look, I think, on a PS1. It's so pixely, you can almost not even read it, but you can still kind of make out what it says. And then the farther you get away from it, it basically fades out just like a PS1 game. Yeah, I definitely think the 128 looks pretty good on that. So I'm going to back out here and we'll take a look a little bit. I'll walk around and talk about the main scene, which is this giant construction valley. So the one thing about this level is this is the main level and the largest level in the game. And I've totally already worked on it. It's not done for the remake, but as you can see, there's a whole lot of stuff that's changed and transformed. Like, you got all these like full height bushes now that are like animating. The animating bushes, like these little ones you can see in the bottom corner, like the little tiny ones, they were in the original one, and they were really spread out because the Wii U really couldn't render too many planes like moving on top of each other. It had a really hard time, and that was basically because of a lot of different reasons. Like, I tried to make this efficient back in the day, but then also really there's a lot I could have done to make this run a lot better on Wii U. Like, my knowledge was pretty limited. So now I'm going to be able to do everything that I wanted to do in the original. And as you can see, this fog effect was actually in the Wii U version originally, and I couldn't get it to run, so I had to take it out. But basically this, you know, you don't know what's coming, you don't know what's around the corner, you have to explore that type of stuff. It's going to make it a whole lot creepier when there's new things added into this version of the game. Why sigh when you can instead send this to someone who makes... Oh my gosh. Love your spammy comment there. Yeah, so basically you can see, you can already see that there's like the new anti-aliasing. There's the textures have already been redone. You can tell exactly that this is basically the shipping container texture and everything from the original game, but it really does look like it's a PS1 game. And you can tell that it's only like 4 sides, you know, or 6 sides, however many make up the geometry. But if you look on the screen, you can see, you know, the farther you get away from it, you know, it's anti-aliasing, so it's kind of giving you that pixel look, kind of like the tree. You see how the tree is just animating slowly, but since, you know, we're rendering at such a small texture, that it almost looks like pixels when it's actually not pixels. You know, it's actually a 3D tree, and then when you get up closer to it, you can tell, oh yeah, this is a tree. The old PS1 games kind of had that look where you couldn't tell when things turned into a billboard and when things turned into 3D. They billboarded a lot of things on planes back in the day on the PS1. A lot of those games were kind of like that. Yo, PLP, what's up? Thanks for joining in on the game dev stream for today. Oh, I gotta get a sip of water. Also, I think the new power lines look a whole lot better, and if you can tell from the original game, there's like just more plants spread out everywhere randomly to give it more life. I actually had to edit some of this stuff. Like, I was just talking about the models. Like this model, for example, you can see like I purposely stretched the texture here to make it look like a PS1. And there was only one rock here. My design was so weird, you know, in the original game. I was like, oh, I put a rock there. That's something that fills up that space. All right, let's move on. And it was just a rock, you know, and it was like this weird, like kind of super high poly, just circular rock. So I basically went and took a lot of polygons out to make it, you know, like more edgy and stuff like that, and then kind of stretch the texture a little bit over it. And then you can see, obviously, I put the sweet grass here, super pixely. These were in the original game, but like, you know, really small. I've already edited this one, so you can tell it's got the pixel look to it. Like the sign had fallen off over here, and you got this concrete block sticking in the ground. Going into an appointment, so I can't stay long. Head hopping real quick to witness history. Are there going to be any filters put over the whole game to add to the PS1 style? So far, I don't know if I'm going to filter anything else. I might add a couple post-processing layers. I was basically explaining earlier that like this whole game is being filtered already. If you could see, like basically by down resing, into the anti-aliasing here. And if I go back and show you what it looks like in the engine, you can see that it still looks, HD or whatever. So when you're looking at it in the engine view and when you're looking at it in play mode, it is filtered down. I'm not sure if I'm going to add any kind of filter to make it look like the textures are stretching or whatever. But so far I'm pretty pleased with how this pixely look is. I've been going back and forth with trying to figure out how to go and try to make it look old but also look new, but not look too old that it hurts your eyes, that it's like too pixely. So I definitely need some play testing. This is a good time as any to talk about play testing. So another new feature of the Patreon page, I don't know if there's links in the description, but there will be after the video. But if you join us at patreon.com/TreeFall Studios, we're now going to be sending out beta tests for our top tier patrons. So we did that a few different times, but we're going to do it more regularly now that we're focusing a little bit more on PC development and all that. So if you're interested in playing the game early, be sure to check out our Patreon page. You can see, look at this. So I went in here and edited the original teddy bear, and I took a bunch of polygons out to make him look square, and look like original PS1. And then I was attempting to do like actual eyes sitting on top of him, but I don't think they look very good. He looks kind of weird. His nose looks too big. And then like when it's almost a horror game in itself, when you back away from the teddy bear, his eyes basically turn white and they just look, horrifying. But I'm starting to change this model up. I mean, if you guys are here seeing the behind the scenes, I might as well ruin some of the new spooky features. But I have an animation for him, originally, but I'm just going to do a couple tiny things like his eyes pop out, or his head turns around, or the teddy bears move positions as you move around the map and stuff like that. So there's definitely going to be new features in this old game, which is like my original vision, but I just didn't know how to code that in the original game, and stuff like that. Like for instance, you see how like you got to walk through this giant thick forest before it calms down, and then there's a section of low grass, and then you can make out in the distance that foggy, what are those structures, and then you head out over there. And then this is like a big platforming section. There's definitely going to be new spooky things that I'm going to add over here. But for areas like this, for instance, I'm going to have, like, once you're in here and your vision is basically occluded, I'm going to be moving models around, moving the bears around, moving them behind trees, different things like that, just to give you that creepy vibe. You don't know what triggers what, where, and where they're going to come out to get you type of thing. So far the scenery looks really good. It does have that nice pixel effects. Thanks, Lucky Green. I appreciate it. I am trying to work on it to make it as cool looking as it can, to sell that old school vibe. He looks like you. Yeah, I guess so. And in some sense, so we're sharing the same eye color, sort of, I guess. Also over here, another thing before going up to actually cleaning up some of the levels together, I will show you one more thing that I was changing. So this whole section, so like basically what I wanted to do for the original game was have all these sections of the map that you had to go to, and there would be little puzzles there, but I basically didn't know how to do any kind of puzzles or code it or anything like that. So I was working on like climbing this water tower without actually like making it a secret to climb it, instead of like actually being able to just press the button and climb up this ladder or whatever. I didn't want you to be able to do that, because in this game everything feels like, oh, I can't do that, but then there's something really hidden behind something that you are supposed to do, and then you're like, whoa, I didn't know that I could do that, or whatever. But for here, I've been having trouble getting the colliders to fit, and for you to be able to climb up to grab a new hidden tape or whatever. So I'm definitely editing this. I made it a little bit more low poly, and I got more to do. Over here is definitely going to be changed up a little bit, because there's that creepy swing set and all that stuff. In the original Wii U version, I wanted to have these swings just like slowly swinging back and forth. But I could never figure out how to do that, and it's still a little complicated. And if I'm talking about, making actual colliders that bounce against your body and like kind of swing, physics wise, I think I could do that. I have to change up this model to equip it, but I think I might just have them slowly go like this back and forth and not react to you, or just like if you hit it, it maybe reacts to you a little bit. I am going to change up some things like that. Make the game 20 FPS. It would enhance the PS1 look. Yeah, to be honest, that is something that I could do. I didn't even think about that really, because I'm assuming, I have this running at 60 FPS. So at least 30. I need to slow it down to give it a more choppy look. 20 might be a little too rough, but I think overall I could lower it, and we'll test out how that, we'll send out 2 builds and see how that goes. You should also make the ladder broken, and also on the floors of the tower add a plank going from corner to corner if it's a little hard to get up. Yeah, I had thought about that, to do the ladder being broken originally. That way everyone would just think, oh, I can't climb the ladder because it doesn't reach all the way down. I'm thinking about, I can just go in and edit the model. We can do that too. That would make it a whole lot better. So for this stuff, I guess, yeah, because like if you look at this, it's like, wow, this is unbelievably just inefficient, because none of these are marked as static. So I don't even have light maps built for this or anything like that. And you can see this still has the animator. It looks like I was going in there and cleaning up some of these before in the Wii U version, and it's like I thought I'd gotten them all, but I had missed some. It's so annoying when they treat this as some of the prefabs are treated as prefabs, and some of them are actual prefabs, and I don't know in the older version like what the deal was. But you can see, even though I deleted it, it's still like holding on to it, and it's wanting you to use it. So basically you have to go back into these import settings, and you got to go import nothing for the rig, and you import nothing for the animation. So like that stuff, like to me, it's like, why is this hidden over here when you don't actually have an animation on it? It should just automatically say there's no animation. Why pull an animation over? But you can see if we go and change it in the model, it cleans it up a whole lot better here, so it's not even a little annoying gray blurb. So stuff like that is just minuscule to a performance or anything like that, but I'm cleaning it up anyways because I want this to run super awesome and be super efficient, so I can add a ton of effects, a ton of post-processing, scary new like vision effects and stuff like that when you get close to the red eyes and everything, and make sure everything is running as smoothly as possible. I'm just trying to make everything that I can do super efficient. You can see this is running old legacy shaders, and like this is just terrible. This one wasn't even that big of a texture or whatever beforehand, but let's drop it down. Let's point filter it and drop it down to 128 and see if we can get that pixel look. Here's another example. Like, it still looks weird. You get confused, so I shrunk this down to like a PS1 texture basically, but it looks like it looks like the HD version because the bump map shadows are still coming in. So yeah, that looks a whole lot better. Now you can tell it's super pixely. This, I might just take this bump out of here completely, because really there's not even 3D shadows in PS1 games. So even if I smooth this up and turn this bump down, let's see if we change these settings. These old bump maps are really bad. Yeah, that kind of looks all right. Now you can tell, like, this is what I was mentioning earlier. Even though I made this down res to like pixel textures, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look like a PS1 model bush or whatever, because it's just too rounded. So I'm gonna have to go in there, and I'm not gonna do that on stream. I'm gonna just do those later, and I'm gonna show you how I'm cleaning up things in the engine and moving around, and we'll just add some new level design and stuff today. But basically I'm gonna have to open these back up in Blender, re-import them, and go through and delete some of these edges that are making the curve to make it look more boxy. I might even just trash this one altogether, to be honest, and make a different like kind of bush model, just because like these were like rounded cubes. It's very interesting looking. Hello, I love the games you make with the vignette. I think it's called the blackness. You should lower the intensity. That's just my opinion. Oh yeah, so that is I'm actually not even running that that filter. I think I might even filter that on top. That what you're talking about is actually the flashlight circle. So like if you can tell, you can actually, I think yeah, so I don't, let me see if it's based on the click. Okay, yeah. So I don't have all of the buttons recoded correctly at this point for the PC version, so I have to use a mix of the controller and the mouse. So you can tell this is like the flashlight, how the original flashlight was, and if you turn it off, there's no change on the corners of the screen. It's just darkness. That's just because there's like no light and it's like really dark. But I think you are right. The original flashlight itself is extremely small, and if I change it to widen it up or brighten it up, you would have a little bit more on the screen that you would be able to see. That's definitely something that I need to test out and see how that goes. Because, I mean, when you are looking at screenshots of the game, if you can see, like right here, this is the game view, and this is the scene view. So I'm editing in like such a small window, and that's just because I'm trying to keep everything on one screen. I mean, I can move all these around so you guys can see a little bit better, and I can work a little bit easier. But not everyone does this in their game development. A lot of people will have the game view like hidden, and like let's say we hide the animator over here, and they'll work on the giant scene like this. But I kind of don't like that. I split the windows so I can see what's going on, like what it would look like in the actual game. And I don't really work in a big window like this. And sometimes like you can spread these out upon multiple windows or whatever. But you know, I'm using this other computer screen that I've got to run the stream, and so I can read you guys' comments and keep my OBS up there and everything like that. So maybe one day if I can upgrade to 3 monitors, we can have a giant game development stream and be taking a look at all of it. So this is another one. Like, so I love these fences that I basically just fenced off the town with. I just, you know, I hid them out everywhere, and I thought this was like the greatest thing ever. So like you start off in this little alley and you're fenced in, so you can't get over this fence, but I didn't want to end the level directly after the fence, so I basically put these tarps like it was a construction site for the town too, and like they basically block off the visibility of the level. And then I was like, all right, so there needs to be something realistic behind that, so it doesn't look like there's just, you know, a wall and then there's nothing. So I built these hills and put random buildings and stuff outside of the walls, so it made it look like the town was actually a bigger town than what it really is, because this level is pretty small and the town itself is actually really small. So in the remake, this town is going to be completely different. It's not even going to be like this. The complete remake is actually going to be taking place in like a small American mountain town, and there's going to be like natural like mountains and cliffs that are going to be blocking off views from outside the town. And like I'm going to be doing the level design with the road, you know, kind of like how there's actual design basically like in the mountains. Like if you're riding on a little mountain road And, you know, there might be there's usually like a creek that's coming right beside it, and then there'll be like what do you call that, it's like the block off your car from driving off the edge. I just had a complete brain fart. I don't know what it's called. All I want to say is cinder blocks, but they're kind of like the metal guardrails. Guardrails. That's what I'm looking for. I'm gonna be building those to like block off like some of the town, and so you can see houses on the other side of the road. It's gonna be like a little teeny mountain town, and it's just all gonna be completely different. I'm gonna try to like have the levels like make more sense in like actual connecting, but all of that's from ground up stuff. So obviously this remake where I'm just like fixing things and making them a little bit nicer, that's not going to exist, you know, in the new one or whatever. How do you do level design? It is the only thing that makes my games bad. Level design is a huge factor. I feel like that was always one of my stronger suits, but as you can see, as I'm showing you this game, you know, it's not how it started. I felt like I was good at level design back in the day, but a lot of this stuff, you know, to me, I look back at it now and I'm like, God, it's just absolutely awful. And my design has changed and improved over the years, basically by many different things. By creating games, the best way to improve is to make games, put them out there, let people play them, have a finished product, go ahead and just put it out there, and then get feedback, and then work on some of the, if there's actual good constructive criticism, you know, try to learn from it, and then like try to overcome that in the next project. And if you just keep completing games, your skills will be improving over time as long as you're learning along the way, type of thing. And I also think it's really important to play games with great design. Nintendo games have, some Nintendo games, not all of them, you know, most Nintendo games have really great level design, but if you're going to be playing an adventure game, or you're wanting to, you know, make an open world game like that, you know, you're going to need to play some games with great design like God of War, or some other games like on PlayStation where there's really huge levels that are really realistic but are also designed by like a video game. So it's like a mix of doing like research on the internet, listening and learning from your feedback, and making new games and attempting stuff, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work with players, and then also playing good games for yourself and looking at it and thinking, okay, why is this good? Why do I like this game? Why do people like this level design? You know, what about it? What about the levels themselves actually are really good? You know, what about it teaches you how to do the gameplay, type of thing? So I think that's like kind of some of the main things that will help you and get a little bit better over time. Also, getting feedback. I mean, you can always, I guess you can always, we don't have an open channel, open way to do that. I don't know if you're part of our Discord, but you can always send me stuff and I can take a look at it every once in a while whenever I've got time. And I love to get feedback and stuff like that. So if that's something you're interested in, I can definitely take a look. Yeah, when I'm showing off games like this, it's like, ooh, you know, maybe you shouldn't take a look, bro. But yeah. Do you game a lot? Yeah, I do. Way too much, to be honest. I try not to do it too much. I mean, especially if I'm in a work situation and you know, I'm trying to meet a deadline, or like right now we're trying to do a whole lot of stuff. Like I've been pounding the pavement with marketing recently for tilting tiles, really trying to get tilting tiles off the ground, because I really think that this is like one of the best games I've ever made. It's such a cool puzzle game. I've got really good feedback from players who've played it. I've had 3, 4, 5 people play the game or so. Check it out, give feedback. Outside of me, obviously, and close team stuff. And I just think it's really, when you're looking at the game, you know, just the square moving around, it doesn't look like the most exciting game, but you really don't understand like how deep the puzzles are until you're playing it yourself and like learning through the game. So as you mentioned level design earlier, basically that game I really worked on the level design to like teach the player how to do stuff, so I didn't have to like, put text and stuff in there. So when I'm really busy like this, like I'm trying to manage that release and publish that out, and I'm trying to rebuild this game, and I'm also working on my first secret announcement, my first publishing contract. I announced, if you didn't catch the TreeFall Studios Developers Conference 2021, we announced we're going to be doing some publishing work and helping indies and beginners and stuff like get their games on consoles. I'm working on the first one of those, and I'm trying to get that out before Christmas, and we haven't even announced it yet. So I'm basically working on like 3 projects at once. If that's the case, I really don't play a whole lot. I only play, I don't know, I used to like to play every single day, but sometimes I just completely skip days, or if I do get to play, I might only play for 15 minutes or 30 minutes at most. But technically, like, if I have a smaller workload, I game a lot for free time. Like, probably like 1 to 2 hours a day is like what I would do, outside of other activities and stuff like that. I play a lot of PlayStation, my PSN profiles or whatever. I share that out sometimes so you can basically see what I've been playing. I play a lot of PlayStation, and I still play a lot of Nintendo. I really like the Switch, and I got a lot of games on there. I played most of Nintendo's games on the Switch, and I go 50-50. Sometimes I play a lot of indie games to see what some of my competitors and or friends are making, and get good advice and check out games and see things. And sometimes I buy a lot of indies on Switch at a time, and then sometimes I'll buy a lot of them on PlayStation. I typically like them on PlayStation because usually they just run better and they look a whole lot better. But I also sometimes I hate how the achievements are done or whatever, and with the trophies, and sometimes I just would rather just play the game and just enjoy it on Switch and take it on the go and that kind of thing. So yeah, let's go ahead and I got on a tangent there. Let's clean up a couple more items together here, and then I'm gonna go into some tilting tiles and show off some of that too. I used to love these cardboard boxes because I thought, like, man, well, I'm Solid Snake over here, because I put the textures to where I tried to do them all right, where they would look correct on each side of the open cardboard, and I was like, man, I'm a modeling genius, because I had some of the card, it's how the cardboard gets stuck sometimes, or it's once you've opened a package it really kind of sits somewhere. Yeah, so I thought this stuff was awesome. This needs to get rid of the animators, so we need to go in here. You can check out that model. I honestly think this is not too bad of a model for 2014, We're going to get rid of the animation components. The way I imported the materials back in the day, the old legacy stuff, this is all real bad. I'm only cleaning up what I can. Make it a little bit better. Static that up. We're going to open up this. Yeah, this is 1024. Yeah, this is probably not even this size. It's already been compressed once, and I didn't even notice it back in the day. Yeah, so look at that. That looks just absolutely awful. Let's go ahead and point filter that. Yeah, there you go. That looks a little bit more PS1-y. Let's take a look. I can go ahead and add, I'm going to add fog into the town too, because if you come out here and you look at the town, it's man, it looks really bad. You can already see that I pixelize the sky and the clouds, and I just don't even want them to be visible. I just want you to be able to see the fog where everything is way creepier. So we can go ahead and add in the global fog here too, show you guys how to do that. Yeah, that definitely looks pixely right there. You're seeing the pixel jags from the actual rendering, and you can tell the cardboard cuts on the box are definitely more pixely. I already did this too. I mean, these bricks still look, basically these bricks almost still look too good, for a PS1. even though they're all pixely. And I went ahead and did the little air conditioner units too, so that's already done. Let's check out the new. If I sent you a concept for a game on your Discord, could you help me get onto the right path on how to make it, please? It will really help a lot. I'm only 12-year-old indie developer. Yeah, I can give you advice. I mean, if being that young is crazy to be started in game development, you know, by the time you're my age, if you actually are researching on the internet and, you know, all of that stuff throughout your high school career, and if you go to college and all that stuff, you'll definitely have a whole lot of knowledge by the time you're my age. I didn't start that young for sure, so that's pretty impressive to be starting that young. Alrighty, so let's do these here too. Yeah, look at that. That looks terrible. Yeah, so all of these, yeah, these are all not static. Clean those up. Get rid of those animators. See, I guess like, see, this is what I don't understand. Okay, yeah, so it does show it still. We definitely want to get rid of that. Going into the cube here, and wait a minute, wrong one. We need to go into the import settings. We're going to toast that rig, toast that animation. Now when you click on it, it'll all be gone. Those are all static. It's using mesh colliders, which are not the best, but there's not that many polygons here, so it's actually, you know what, we're going to do that too. We're just going to be more efficient. So we're going to get rid of that. No more collider generation. And what we're going to do is, I don't think that this is in any other level. I think they're only in this level, and they're only right here. So basically, actually, yeah. So what you want to do is you would want to add it here, and it should auto size it. Yeah, just about perfect. And we can do it on this one as well. Box collider and box collider. So I guess the good thing, another game developer tip is like, I didn't even think like, you know, this is maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 faces, kind of 8 faces. But then there's also like this cutout here where there's like a bunch of different faces, and I was running a mesh collider on this, which is pretty much, you know, super inefficient, because basically what's happening is like the game is trying to program like, is the player touching or colliding to every single one. You can see all these little faces, so it's like doing math calculations to try to figure out all of those. So it's basically bogging down the game for literally no reason, when you're not even going to be able to tell too much of a difference of like the player. I wanted it to be a mesh collider so the player could kind of stand on this little side and then walk up, but the difference is almost not even noticeable, so might as well do the box. This math calculation is so much easier for the computer to do, for Unity to do, because you know it's only calculating by like length times width or whatever, and you know the amount of actual calculations per frame per step is a whole lot smaller, so that makes it more efficient. So now we clean that up. Let's go in here and shrink this one down. Another good thing about this is like, you know, if you're down resing for everything, like, yep, that looks PS1-y. I don't know if that's too high res. Let's maybe 64 this. No, you can't even see anything. Let's go back to 128. Like, what is this? I'm using such a big picture for literally no reason. This letter stuff is just so bad. Shrink that down. 128. Yeah, looks a little better. Let's go test that out. Yeah, it yeah, let's go around and go take another look. Are you adding enemies, and if so, what are they? I don't know how much I'm gonna really change up this formula. I thought about going ahead and adding in like a first person controller to it, to where it's like you got an arm and you maybe have to pick stuff up, or you have to hit the bears away, or anything like that. But I'm not totally sure if I'm gonna go that route, because it might be a little bit too much editing for the original when I'm like already gonna be building in a lot of that stuff for basically the new game or whatever, and I'm kind of just wanting to show the original. Yeah, I think those look decent. Yeah, especially from here, those look pixely enough. I don't really like how the rendering goes on the shadows on the wall there. Yeah, I mean, look, you can watch it render in real time, like the distances, the close distance where the shadows are nice, the distance where the texture's like already down res, and the distance where there's like no textures at all. I'm gonna have to go in there and try to figure out that and see if I can make that a little bit better. But I thought about having like maybe some creepy like creatures, and or also maybe the teddy bears actually attack you and all of that. But I'm not positive. I haven't decided. And plus, also, I kind of try to keep my games family friendly. And I know this is a horror game, and all of that. But my original whole design about this horror game, the original reason it was like a dream and all that, was it was supposed to be like, kind of like a wholesome message of like life can be scary, but in the end, it was just a dream and it's all okay, and there's things you're afraid of in life, but it's gonna be okay type of thing. So I'm like kind of 50-50 on like, even in a game that looks kind of like fake and old school and cartoony and pixelated like PS1, I'm still like on the fence about adding actual guns or like violence or anything like that. I mean, I think it could be cool for the game, but like I don't know for sure if what type of enemies I would add and like what the combat would be like. I'm just not sure on that. I'm gonna go ahead and pop up. Yeah, this is perfect. I can pop it up on another screen so you don't see all of the secret tilting tile stuff. Builds, PC builds, Windows 64, because I wasn't gonna stream too long. I think I'm gonna do just an hour and a half today. I haven't decided, so I'm gonna start streaming like more often during the week, showing a little bit of the game development, showing stuff behind the scenes, and then basically getting feedback and letting people take part and hang out and ask questions and do all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, that looks cool. Maybe a little too pixely. Oh yeah, that looks way better. So that looks good. We're gonna go in here and edit this model. So I'm either thinking like 1 hour to 2 hours. 2 hours sitting is quite a bit of time. I don't know if I'm gonna do that. Also, like, my studio is gonna be changing in the end. I'm probably gonna be moving soon and be building out a new studio. So I'm gonna be trying to do like TreeFall posters in the background and different things like that. So a lot of things are gonna be changing throughout the episodes, but I wanted to go ahead and get them started just so we can like get this whole series running and get people checking it out and being a part of some of the game design and game development. All right, so that is better now. Yep, all of that's gone. All right, there's no mesh collider on that, so I think I might use a mesh collider on one of them, so I'm just gonna leave that even if it is inefficient. And yeah, so I think I'm just gonna go to like 8 more minutes or so of like cleaning this up, and for the last few minutes I'm going to show off some more tilting tile stuff and talk about the Steam release, which is a huge thing that we've been working on recently. Man, another game developer thing is like, so these are literally like planes, basically. They're planes just pushed into the wall, you can see. And they're not actually, there's like a bunch of new ways that you can do this now in Unity. Like you can use a decal, and you can basically like, it's almost like you're projecting an image onto a wall, and you can move it and design it all around in the newer versions. I think much more efficient than this, because this is running basically transparency, running polygons, instead of the way that they do the math behind the scenes. Maybe you could hide from the troubles of the world and troubles of the enemies. In the end, you have to face them. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm gonna think about it and try to figure out what I'm gonna do. I'm your biggest fan. Will there be something that will kill this time? Yeah, that's what we were just talking about, actually, Techno Slime. Trying to figure out whether or not I'm going to do actual combat and actual enemies, and if the bears are actually going to move around and chase you, or if you let a bear get too close, you know, you die, or if you actually have to take the bears out, that type of thing. The red eye monster that, you know, is just kind of creepy in the background of the town and the construction site. Not sure if I'm going to, I think I'm going to go ahead and fully creaturize that and have that in there. I'm trying not to be too close to Slender, you know, like I don't want it to chase you around completely, and then like when you turn around, it's there, you know. But I think there could be some benefit to having some actual combat. I'm definitely going to, at least, there will definitely be something like that in the new HD remake, but for this version, at least I'm going to be doing new puzzles. Like I'm going to be changing up interactive puzzles, kind of like, you know, like in this level, you just picked up stuff. Like you had to go find the ID. It was like in this little thing here. You had to pick up the ID card, and you had to go pick up a key somewhere to open up the door to break in. But now I'm thinking of like changing this up and being like, okay, you've got to find this ID to learn a keypad code in order to type it in to get in, or you have to do a few different things like that in order to like solve puzzles and maybe do a couple of challenges instead of just picking up every single item and then just warping to the end or whatever. Yeah, jump scares, I think that we're going to be doing some of that, like a little bit more. Not exactly jump scares per se, but something along the lines of, you know, definitely things that are creepy and moving around and much scarier in a just kind of creepy vibe. And I'm not changing the ending. I was explaining that earlier, basically saying that like the whole point of the game originally was about how it was supposed to be like kind of, even though it was in a horror game, it's supposed to be kind of like a wholesome type of messaging. Basically, you know, that things can be scary in real life and all of this, but in the end it was just a dream, and you know, basically everything was going to be all right type of deal. But I actually really like the dream thing, because I'm going to be using that for the sequel whenever we do the sequel. So like in the letter timeline of development, you're talking about this classic edition is just editing and changing and remaking the original, and that'll be out this Christmas. And hopefully, I mean, there's a little bit too much to do, might not make it out this year. And then next year, there's going to be a complete reimagining and remake of this game, and that's all going to be leading up to a giant sequel that'll come out sometime in 2023 probably. And the sequel is going to be taking place inside of the dream and outside of the dream, because I have like this really good idea of like basically like Michael, the main character, you know, he has troubles with his dreams, and he's like a very troubled kid, and like you're gonna have trouble understanding what's reality and what's the dream, and you're gonna be falling asleep and going back and forth, because I think one of the scariest things in real life is like when you've fallen asleep and then you wake up and you think you've woken up, and then something happens and you're still in the dream, and then you really wake up. And it's going to be kind of playing on that, and that's kind of how the second game is going to be taking place. I think there's a lot of Easter eggs I remember playing just for finding them. Yeah, there's like random stuff, you know, like Easter eggs were like, you know, bus stop coming soon. Maybe I'll build a real bus stop in this version. There was like Easter eggs for us, you know, and the people who gave to the, like I was on the ID, and there's, you know, wanted posters in the town, and those people were Kickstarter backers. And there was references to the gym, not the gym collector. I think that's what I'm putting a gym collector reference in there now. Those references to Journey of a Special Average Balloon and Night Detective, I want to say. There might have been a gym collector thing in the original one at the bottom of the shelf. I'm not completely sure. But yeah, definitely going to be doing, once I clean this all up and make this look a lot better than it used to, there's going to be new Easter eggs for more recent TreeFall games and all of that kind of thing. So for now, I'm just going to, that's about exactly when I was going to stop working on this, and I'm going to boot up Tilting Tiles, and let me know in the chat if, because this should automatically build to the correct camera. Let me check out the OBS. Yep, okay, perfect. It's building correctly. This should have audio input, and let me know if it's too loud or if it's not even coming through at all. It might not be coming through at all. Okay, I hear it a little bit, so let me know if the gameplay audio is actually coming through to the stream. And I'm going to grab a drink of water. All right, let me pull up my desktop. Okay, so it's not showing. Let me unmute that. Alright, let me turn it all the way somewhat down. Tell me if that is a good setting. Yeah, I just turned it on. It was not coming through. Can you hear it now, and is it too loud? Still nothing? Alright, let me go in there and try to turn that up some more. Okay, you can hear it now. Okay, cool. I don't want it to be too loud, but I want to show off some of the new sound effects and stuff. So I need the game audio on. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is the PC version. It's going to be launching on the 23rd too. And I just wanted to show a couple of the things because like I really worked hard on the PC version this time. So it's not just kind of like a lazier port or whatever. You can see it's got the little item here as the cursor. We have an original cursor. You can see that this mouse here is floating up and down to show you need to click to start. And then when you start, you got your escape desktop, which isn't in the original. And you can still see you need to left click. And if you grab the controller, it instantly goes over correctly. It hides the cursor and changes all the buttons to the Xbox controller. And you can bounce up and down the menu, and you can instantly grab the cursor and it will deselect all these just so you can go ahead and grab it that way. So I'm pretty excited with how all of this has turned out. You know, you can hit the back button to get out. You can over here and change your options. This is actually like a speed running option. I didn't talk about it too much, but it's defaulted to normal because the game is kind of hard, and like if you try to move too fast, like you'll fall off and redo a level. But once you've memorized it and you're trying to go as fast as possible, you can like double your speed and be shooting around. Also, I have all sorts of language options in this as well. The horror game, The Letter, will it come to PS4? Yeah, the version I was just working on, I was just showing you all the PC version, but that is specifically for the PS4. And mainly it's going to be coming to PS4, and I think I'll be doing a PC launch for the Classic Edition. I might not do it on Steam just because, you know, it's still the original game, and like I don't really think it's gonna sell on there too well. But I might, for our PC audience, put it on itch and, you know, have them be able to download it there as well. Yeah, so basically you can see all of these. I just wanted to show you another little touch is like, if you look at the cursor right now, it's like actually kind of scaled out, and then like if you're not selecting anything, it's small and it's like the regular size, and then when you hover over it, it actually grows, so it lets you know that it's clickable. And then also you have these little level selectors, these little animating things, so you know where things are clickable. Will it be free on PS4? No, definitely not free. I gotta be able to make a little money off of it. But it's still gonna be cheap, even though I'm doing a lot of work to it, cleaning it up and making it cooler looking. I'm still gonna charge the same amount that I did on the Wii U version. It's just gonna be $1.99. So, you know, pretty affordable for most people. Hopefully, if you can afford a PlayStation 4, hopefully you should be able to purchase a $1.99 game, I guess. But yeah, so the stage select, let's use the controller for that. Oh wow, yeah, the build, I can't even show you the level that I was gonna basically talk about, just because I don't even have the save data on this version of the game. But I just wanted to talk briefly before I ended the game dev stream for our first episode a little bit about this game and the push for the Steam launch. So our PlayStation audience has really grown, and we're doing really good on PlayStation, but you know, it's a little dangerous, and this is just business and economics kind of talk. If you're interested in opening up a game studio, I will never financially recover from $1.99 game. Oh my gosh. If you're wanting to open up your own studio, for instance, you don't want to have all of your eggs in one basket. And you really don't want to have everything, basically all of your income from one place. Because even though we have an agreement with Sony and sales are pretty good, you never know when like something could happen and PlayStation fall off the cliff or go downhill, and you don't want all of your sales to come from one place. And we're working hard to get on the Switch because a lot of people are playing games on Switch, but I hear it's not as good as it used to be, and it's still hard to get on and develop for. So we're trying to do that. So one of the things that we have the ability to develop for is the computer. Everybody can download stuff onto the computer. Usually if you're watching this video, some of it's from the computer, some of it's from phone, but most people have a computer to play on Steam. So we're really trying to grow that audience and make, you know, solid not PlayStation, PC ports. So, you know, I'm really trying to push it hard with Tilting Tiles because this is a puzzle game. And it's kind of built perfect for PC players. Simple puzzle games definitely just really land on that audience. So, bro, I will buy every version. Let's go. Yeah, baby. I hope you do. That'll help us out a ton. So I'll just play a couple levels here and kind of talk about it. So you can see, you know, I got the pause menu. Everything is smoothly animating, going well. You can see this level is the one that introduces to diagonal movement, and I kind of want to talk about some of the sound effects for moving around. So I'll like be quiet for a sec and like go ahead and play a level. Okay, so that should have given you guys an idea of like just how many sound effects are in this game. It's just crazy. I did a lot of editing to where like, you know, changing to the diagonal gives you a certain sound, changing to single gives you a different note sound, changing to double gives you a double hit sound, moving is a sound. When you run out of special moves, it plays a different sound. When you pick up an item, it plays a sound. When you ride a whirlwind, it's a different sound. When you finish the level and complete it all, it's another different fanfare sound. So there's a bunch of different stuff going on. I really like the, so if you listen, I'll just be quiet again. My favorite sound is a little tick-took that tells you that you're out of moves, and it sounds like this. So it plays a little dink-dunk noise, and then instantly, as you can see, you are losing the little circles to show you how many moves you had. It instantly animates. Not only does it animate off screen so you know you're out of the move, it plays a sound so you know you're out of the move, and it instantly reverts you back to the regular movement so you don't have to press a button to get back. It goes ahead and puts it for you automatically for quick playing sessions when you're going really fast throughout the level. And I also kind of like the item sound, the little bloom bloom. And then when you beat a level, it goes boom boom, and then pauses the music for just a second and then continues the loop. So there's a couple levels in this game where like 2 levels back to back will be built on the same design, and they'll be trying to teach you one thing after another. So this one is basically the exact design from the last level, but it's a little bit more broken up in the front, and if you play it the same way that you just played the last level, you actually will not be able to complete the level. So just to spoil it for the guys watching the Game Dev live stream episode 1, let me go ahead and restart to explain a little bit about how this one goes. So like you can see now there's a way to diagonal to the left, but if you diagonal here first, you only have 4 diagonal moves, and if you use them all, you can't use them anymore. And the only way across to get that one that's above the elevator is you need another diagonal move. So you can't, basically, if you go that way, you can't beat the level. So you got to restart the level. So basically, the level design is trying to trick you to make you think that you should go this way. But if you look at the whole level and you're analyzing it and going, okay, I need 1, 2, 3. I need to be able to get over here to ride that up. You realize you have to save that diagonal. And then another way, if you go, okay, I'm going to use it here, well, then you realize you're out of diagonals, and then you cannot go back and get those other 2 items. So basically, that's kind of how the level design works in this game. You have to like, it's all about learning the puzzle and like looking at it and trying to calculate basically where you need to go. So if you save some of your diagonals and you don't go backwards, you ride the elevator first, you will perfectly grab that last one. And the boss baby, thank you. I'm glad you think this looks sick. So here's an example. I'll show off a little bit of the different sound effects. So when you click onto, I'm going to click onto diagonal and then click on the double and then back to single and show you each of those. So basically, the diagonal is a different type of movement, and it plays a different type of note, but in the same sound effect type. And the double movement is the exact same as the single movement, but it plays it twice because it alerts you. The audio cue alerts you. Not only did you switch to double movement, and it changes the UI to let you know you're in double movement, there's a quick double tap audio cue so you know, hey, I just entered double movement. And like I said earlier, it does doop and then lets you know with an audio cue that you're out of double moves, and then it animates down off the screen so you can tell, hey, I can't do any more double moves. It's time to use my very last diagonal. So yeah, not going to show off too much. I'm going to go ahead and I like the little menu donk noise too. And then when you click on the exit, they animate out and then the squares warp away. You fly off and then you warp right back to the title screen. You press A here, it warps over to the side, tells you how to exit, and then boom, you're back here. Got your options again, got your instructions. Also, this is the first game, just a little brief note, this is the first game that you could instantly access the credits. So in case you want to see who supported the game on Patreon, in case you want to check out who worked on the game with me, you can instantly watch it in this cool little scene, and you can skip out of it at any moment just by pressing the button. You don't actually have to watch it all the way through. It doesn't force you to waste your time or anything like that. And the cool thing about the level to select is basically you don't even know how many levels are in this game. Every single level that you beat, it just adds a new level to the level select. So when you come back to the game, you just press down to warp to the very last level that you were on, and then you can press A or X if you're on the PlayStation, or if you're using a keyboard, you can click on it with your actual mouse, and then you can warp right back to where you were. So I think that's pretty cool. I've been pushing the Steam release really hard. If you can see, I'll go ahead and show you. If you grab the keyboard and mouse, it instantly changes all of these. So you can see, you can just left click instantly to switch between these, left and right click, so you can switch your movement on the go by holding the mouse, and you can use the WASD keys or the arrow keys, whichever you prefer, to be moving around if you're going to use the keyboard. I'm all out of moves. And then you can just restart. And then if I start using the controller, it instantly hides the mouse and it changes the buttons for you instantly, so you know, okay, now I'm back on the Xbox buttons. All right, which one do I use? This stage is the first one that introduces the bridge, and there's the secret on how you get it in the lowest amount of moves. I'm spoiling too many levels. There are more than 50 levels, so there's quite a bit in the game. But that's all. I'll just go ahead and stop. But if you guys have not checked it out, there are links in the description. If you're wanting to get the game on the computer, you can go ahead and wishlist the game on Steam by clicking below in the description box and clicking wishlist, and you'll be notified when the game goes live on Steam. Steam allows you to do launch discounts, so I should be doing about a 10% launch discount for people who pick it up in the first week. It comes out in about 10 or 12 days or something like that. So it's almost time. Almost time for launch. I'm pretty excited. Stop the spoil. yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and back out. I've shown like 4 or 5 levels. I mean, I'm showing a little too much, especially because I really think it's gonna take people quite a bit to beat some of these puzzles. The cool thing is like you can see, like, some of these are small. You know, this level teaches you how to use whirlwinds, and then a couple things like that. This teaches you how to do diagonals. World 1 teaches you how to do all of the basic movement options and teaches you how to ride whirlwinds and ride bridges and all of that stuff. And then when you start getting into the later worlds, the puzzles get really big and they get really tough, to where, like, I tested some of them on there, and like a single level was taking 30 minutes or more for some people to figure it out. So I really don't know how long this game is going to take people, but I'm assuming from my earlier playtest, like, minimum, you know, maybe 2 hours, maximum maybe 5 hours, maybe even more if, you know, you're a little bit slower or you have to restart the level quite a bit. Because there's 58 levels total in the base game. You know, if this game sells really well, this is the way I built it, it's going to be really easy to just like add level packs of, like, you know, 10 new levels or whatever, which is, you know, always a potential. Thanks, guys. I'm glad you think I'm cool. I'm just a regular fellow, but I appreciate it. So this game is going to be one of my longer releases, I think, in terms of value for your money. The game is only going to cost $4.99. you know, and if it takes you 5 hours, basically you're only paying $1 per hour of game time enjoyment. I want to say, I think the quickest, once you have it all memorized and you change the player speed to fast, you can beat the level in like, maybe you can beat the whole game in like 30-45 minutes. If you know all of the stuff and you've memorized it completely. So speedrunners are gonna be able to speedrun like crazy and maximize their or minimize their times. It's definitely going to be pretty cool to watch speedrunners really take advantage on what they think is the fastest route and how many moves they can get it down to. Because I actually noticed after I coded the game, there's a secret Easter egg in the game that if you beat all of my scores, which are even lower than some of the trophy requirements, there's a couple hidden levels where there's like a secret route, and if you can find those, you unlock the golden tile, and then you can share screenshots of your golden tile skin, and that will definitely be pretty cool for people who figure it out. But there's even the potential for people to figure out even faster in how to do it in less moves than my routes. So people posting their routes online and all that kind of stuff really is going to have a cool effect for the speedrun community, I think. And like I said right here, so basically it tells you, it saves your data right here. If you look at every level, it tells you your best score, and your best score is whatever the lowest is. So you can see right here, it's 8 out of 10. That's a bug. I'm going to have to definitely fix that. I didn't think that would happen, and it's happening in the Windows build where it's automatically putting 100 in if you've started a level but you quit. Yeah, I just figured it out. Live on stream, game developer tip. There's a bug. If you start a level and quit without leaving a score, it automatically fills in your score as 100. I'm definitely going to have to change that. But I guess it doesn't really matter too much because you still have to beat the level. And, you know, obviously that's not your score. You didn't take 100 moves to beat it. But, like, right here you can see my lowest score is 8 out of 10. So you can tell this level, it's impossible to get lower than 8. If somebody figures it out, they'll blow my mind, that's for sure. But basically, you'll be able to share your scores, you know, with your friends online and figure out who can do the levels the fastest, and then the routing is going to be really cool on who can click fastest and make no mistakes and memorize every single puzzle. So that's going to be really cool to see just how the speedrunners handle all of that. And so now also I'll show you on the exiting here, you can click, I just finished all of this. If you're on the main menu, you don't have anything pulled up, and you hit escape to desktop, there's a new little sub menu like PC games, and you can click yes or no. If you click no, it fades out and the menu fades back in like it did originally, and if you click yes, it pops out and exits the application. So now you guys should be on seeing my Unity. It should be back up because that's where I left it. I just played the other game on top of the other one. Can we buy more tile skins? The true treasure of the world. I thought about it, to be honest, because I'm really looking into DLC and stuff like that, even cosmetic stuff, because I wanted to do DLC skin packs for the Perplexing Orb and have like a bunch of, you know, DLC orbs that are like, you know, 10 cents or 40 cents, 49 cents or whatever per skin. But so far I'm having trouble figuring out how to do it on the PlayStation and check it for like the store package and unlocking the DLC. Is definitely something I have to learn how to overcome game development wise. And if I can knock it out and that's something that I can do, it's something I'm trying to research a little bit more on how that store works on the back end and how you do the DLC. But yeah, I would like to do new skins and stuff like that. I do think that would be pretty cool. Especially in games like Orb or skins on the tile. I could do a ton of unlockable skins for the tile. For the base version of the game, Tilting Tiles, I just wanted to keep it the Easter egg. So you play the whole game as the red tile, and then if you unlock the secret routes, you unlock the secret skin, and you have the golden tile. But I think possibly I could add in some DLC skins and stuff like that, updating it over time. Also, like, I have, like, you know, this game took me a long time to make. It took a while to make Tilting Tiles, and there's a bunch of levels in it. I'm happy with the complete project and the complete game, but I'm already filled with tons of ideas for a sequel, so I would like to do that in the future. It just depends on, you know, if this game is actually successful. If people like it, if they enjoy it on PlayStation, if they enjoy it on Steam and all that stuff. If it sells well, I'm definitely going to do a sequel with new moves outside of double movement, diagonal movement, and tilt. There are going to be like new tilting abilities, new environment abilities, because I thought about it like, wow, there's a whole lot more I could take this series that I'm going to call it the Tilt series. You know, you could be moving stuff, have enemies on the screen, moving bridges as you move, so you have to calculate the moves in advance. Really incredibly difficult puzzles to make the game way harder. Riding on stuff like sideways and having to tilt off while you're riding on a bridge. You know, stuff like that. It would be pretty cool, but I need to have basically a giant playtest first. I need people to play the game. I need to figure out if they think it's too hard or if they like that difficulty. Because basically in my head, I'm coming up with more difficult puzzles for Tilting Tiles for a potential sequel. And really, some of my early playtests scare me a little bit with like how difficult some of the final levels are for people. Like, I need to figure out whether or not this type of difficult puzzle game actually has an audience, or if it's going to turn people away whenever they go to play it. So we'll see. You know, it's cheap. It's not that expensive. People can get into it. Should be able to get feedback on it pretty soon. I'm very excited for the launch. And like I said, if you haven't wishlisted the game, please go wishlist it on Steam. Even if you plan to buy the PS4 version of the game and you have a Steam account, please smash that wishlist button, link in the description below. That helps us out a ton. It helps Valve know that, hey, people are excited about this game. They want to check it out, so we'll give you some extra marketing features. If you guys haven't checked out the Patreon page and you want secret behind-the-scenes updates, you want test builds of the games, like you want to test out the letter before it comes out, you want your names in the credits of the games, just like I showed off in Tilting Tiles, or if you want shout outs in YouTube videos, you can sub to the Patreon page. The links should be in the description, but it's patreon.com/TreeFall Studios. All of our social media links are below. We're really pumping stuff out on Twitter, on Discord. There's a group. You can join the Discord. There's different channels in the Discord where I just drop the videos and drop announcements. And there's like a general channel where everyone just randomly chats and that stuff. And still also pumping the Facebook page. Not a lot of people are on Facebook anymore, but you can like us on Facebook below too. Every little bit helps. We're trying to really pump up the marketing so we can make more games, hire more people, and do all of that. I do have an Instagram as well. I don't think the links are in the description for that. They are on my channel page, but the tag should be TreeFall Games. Instagram and Twitter are both TreeFall Games. Facebook and Patreon are both TreeFall Studios. The website itself is at TreeFall Games. So that's the whole rigmarole. Yeah, that's the shout out, self plug at the end. Coming up, I'm going to be ending the stream now, so I want to thank everybody for tuning in, checking out some of the random scenes in the letter, cleaning up some of the stuff, turning stuff into pixel art, you know, cleaning up some of the hideous. All of this is just hideous. We'll clean it up more later, and I'll work on it a little bit more. And thanks for checking out Tilting Tiles. That's pretty cool. I'm glad you guys checked that out, and hope you guys are all excited for the launch soon. I should be changing up the scenery. Like I said, I'm going to be trying to do some more things. I want to get a better microphone so it sounds a little bit better. I need to get a couple more lights so the camera quality looks a little bit better. So we're going to be changing up some stuff and working on some stuff for these live streams. But thanks for everybody who tuned in. I really appreciate it. And I will catch you guys in the next stream.